15.
Adobe put up its new puzzle.
With a brand new code it wants you to crack.
It's called a semaphore.
Its design is mysterious.
Since 2006, the software company has transmitted 2 codes.
Somebody's got to figure it out.
A new code is waiting to be solved.
I wanted to create a code that was impossible for me to solve.
I have the experience, I understand data.
It took the last person 4.5 years to solve the previous code.
I don't give up very easily. I thought I could solve it.
My name is Ben Rubin. I'm a media artist. I live in Brooklyn, and I created the San Jose Semaphore. So the semaphore, it's a visual communication device. It's a contraption that can be read by the naked eye at a distance. The word semaphore actually comes from the Greek word for sign, which is sema, and then pharo, which is carry. It's a device that carries a sign or a signal. And along with these visual signals, there's always had to be some kind of code system so that there's meaning that gets transmitted. So, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. That's the lanterns hung in the Old North Church by Paul Revere. That's a semaphore signaling system. When Adobe built the Almaden Tower, they participated with the city of San Jose in a Percent for Art program. They agreed to allocate a certain percentage of the building's construction budget to a public art amenity. And through that process, I was selected as the artist to make this. San Jose Semaphore was unveiled in August of 2006. We're here talking in 2026, so it's been spinning away for 20 years now.
My name is Brian Vincent. I'm a software engineer here in San Jose, and I solved the Adobe semaphore puzzle. One day I went to go see a musical in downtown San Jose, and I asked my friends, what is that thing? And they said it was a cryptography-based puzzle called the semaphore, and I was immediately intrigued. When I went home, I read all about it. I thought I could probably solve that.
I created a few different ways of giving a code breaker what they call a foothold, something to latch onto that would give them at least a starting place.
The first thing I noticed about the puzzle, occasionally the disks would all line up and it would say the word message. And then it would do 3 rotations and then they would line back up again.
So there are these sync blocks every 10 minutes or so. That's an indication for the code breaker that, this is the beginning of a section of encoded information.
I started looking at the rotations that it did in between the times the disks would line up, and I noticed it would do the minimum rotations to get to a certain visual presentation, and then the minimum rotations for another one, and then the minimal rotations for another one, and then it would go back to lining up. All of that could just be reduced to 3 bytes. Every time the disks show you a certain representation, that can be represented as a single byte.
So the first thing that the solver needs to figure out is in all the information that the semaphore visually and audibly communicates, where is the actual message?
The structure that I saw was that the data was split up into sections that I started to call blocks. And at the top, I would call the header. And I realized that the header could be completely represented with 3 bytes. A byte is a number between 0 and 255, so I had 256 blocks, where at the beginning I had 3 numbers from 0 to 255. I pretty quickly thought that might be representing a color.
Every pixel in a digital image is encoded as 3 numbers, red, green, and blue.
So I went back and read the previous solutions to the puzzles. The first puzzle was text. The second puzzle was audio. So I thought it could be likely that the third puzzle was an image and that these 3 bytes could represent red, green, and blue. So I tried every which way to turn that into a picture. I tried 8x8 pictures where these were red, green, and blue values. I was hopeful that maybe some of the bits would make something that looked like a QR code. That didn't work. All I got was static.
So I tried to balance giving some footholds with some red herrings. There's a fair amount of redundant information in a way that I hope would make it an interesting puzzle to solve.
So I had a lot of data that I wasn't really sure what to do with. Nothing was really working. At that point, I was no longer making much progress, and I quit looking at it for about a year.
If the code breaker were to personify you, his tormentor, how would you want to be thought of?
I guess I would want the code breaker to have the feeling like they're being led on a little bit of a journey and rewarded for making incremental discoveries. Each layer of the solution to this puzzle sets the stage for solving the next one.
The process of solving this puzzle, it feels like you're never really making any progress. It feels like you're lost in a sea of data and you're possibly making discoveries, but you don't even know if they mean anything.
There's no shortcut to solving this thing. It just takes a lot of work.
I've been a software engineer for a long time. I understand data formats. The way I stand out, I put in a lot of effort and I think a lot about them and I don't give up. I started thinking about it again about a year later. So I actually produced a heat map of the different data values at different blocks. The beginning blocks just looked random, the end blocks just looked random, but there's a section in the middle where I could tell the block data was not random. The data was streaky, it would have streaks in it. So the big discovery I made was that the disks would rotate in a very constrained way. The disks themselves can be represented with a 0, a 1, a 2, or a 3. Sometimes they would choose to stay within their 0, 1, 2, 3, going left or right, and sometimes they would rotate to the next set of 0, 1, 2, and 3. I started calling this the overflow number, and I realized the overflow number of disk 1 would change the behavior of disk 2. So then I started looking at the overflow numbers on disk 2. There were 4 different ways that the overflow values could happen on disk 2, and they would happen exactly 25% of the time. Disk 3, its overflow numbers were also split between 25 different ways that it could rotate. Same with disk 4. So one day I thought to myself, well, what if I put on one axis the block number, and on the other axis the unique overflow number, and then the visual representation of the disk? I'll do like a heat map. I did that and I realized, wait a minute, if on one axis I have the block number divided by 2, and on the other axis I have its overflow number, there's actually one unique data value for each of those. I had no idea if I was making any progress whatsoever. I didn't know why I was doing it. But then one day I thought to myself, what if I just map every pixel to a red, green, and blue value in this 2-dimensional grid that I'm making? I fully expected to create this picture and find a picture that looked just like static, like I had seen many times before. But I made the picture and I could see something that was obviously non-random. I got really excited. I sent it to my friend, showed it to my wife, and I said I definitely made a breakthrough.
So this is the image that formed the basis for the code. It's Botticelli's Birth of Venus. The solution to the puzzle is just one small detail.
Hello.
My God, there he is.
Is that Brian?
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you.
When you saw the semaphore outside, did you notice that it like interrupts the
order of the code when a plane flies by?
No, is that true?
It actually spins fast. Like it's
Oh, really?
The wind from the plane is kind of blowing the wheels around. That was kind of the inspiration for the whole piece.
I want to say that the difficulty level on this puzzle is probably perfect.
Oh,
Because, yeah.
Okay.
Like, in some ways, it seems a little bit simple, but at the same time, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it stands for years before anyone solves it.
You made good strategic assumptions and you got there.
I don't know if I fully grasped how important this is yet or anything, but I mean, I'm excited to be a part of it. And yeah, I'm excited to see a fourth puzzle come out too.
Maybe I can consult with you on the creation of the next code.